other way around, start off on the sand and end up on the grass, but this one started off by winning at Haydock, and then won on the all-weather at Wolverhampton last time. So Agile, as they are starting to put them in, but
broadcasting live, this
they're not ready
is
to
the
go yet. So just have a quick
Handicappers
look at
Report,
this.
brought to you by the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning. Welcome to the Handicappers Report for Saturday, May 22nd. Seth Merrow in the studio, joined by phone, Brian Nadeau. Brian, good morning.
Hi, here, Seth. Good morning. Good to hear from you, and hope everything's well back home.
With the weather the past few days, boom, home run. We went right from wintertime to springtime, but before we get into some racing and whatnot, I just wanted to tip my cap to you and go back to last week with our friend Ron Nicoletti having duty up in Maryland covering the Preakness at Pimlico. That left an empty chair for the pregame and the paddock shows sitting next to Ashley Malone last week down at Gulfstream. And who was there but our man Brian Nadeau, and you did a great job over the weekend.
Hey, thanks a lot. That means a lot to me. I think you reached out during the week and said so, and it really does. It means a lot to me, and a lot of people did reach out, both at OTB and around, and it really does. I really appreciate it, and it was cool to get the call and help out. And as you know, you've known Ron for quite a while. I know you've got a little rapport with him. I don't know him that well, but he's got some big shoes down there, so it was a real honor to get down there and fill in for 3 days and try to, hold the fort down a little bit and working with Ashley and everything like that. So really, really cool, really happy, and proud that they asked.
And you texted that our man Dennis was behind the camera. We've been down there obviously over not this past year, but in previous years covering the Florida Derby and some other events down there. And so we've gotten to know the TV crew nicely. And Dennis was a guy who was actually a Naira TV guy for years, and now he's down at Gulfstream. We know him and all the guys up in the control room as well. So it was, I'm sure, fun for you to get back on the set with some familiar faces as well.
Yeah. It was cool. I was in the office before we were going on, and he walked in, and he's like, "Oh, this is the guy? I know that guy. He's pretty cool." And I said, "Hey, Dennis, what's going on? I was wondering if you were still here, because I think we haven't done that in like 3 years, I think. So, obviously in this climate that we're living in, a lot can change." So I said, I never remember his name, which is terrible, but I said to myself, I wonder if that guy's there, and sure enough, he walked in. So it was cool to, I was going down there. There was no one there either, because obviously everyone was at Pimlico, and so it was cool to have someone that I knew. And Dennis was actually, in fact, my cameraman all day on the outside set. So yeah, he's a good guy. He's a fun guy. Likes his horses. So it was cool to have him.
A player as well. I remember a couple of years ago, we were down there doing the show, and Roddy was down, Roddy Valente, and he sat in with us, and he tossed out a horse, and it might not even have been a Gulfstream. He may have had one running at Santa Anita, but he tossed something out, and Dennis jumped on board and made a nice score, and so he was certainly giving kudos to Roddy during the afternoon. A lot of fun. And speaking of scores, frustrating. Your first day on the set, I was kind of watching during the afternoon because you had tossed out a rainbow ticket on Friday, your first day there, and you got to the last leg and just couldn't get it over the line, but you went five for the first 6 there. So yeah, that was kind of a nice way to start things out.
Yeah, but do you know who beat me on Friday? It was Roddy.
Oh, that you take it. That's right. Yeah, it'll come full circle. Yeah, that's right.
I know. I was going to text him. And say thanks a lot. But yeah, he's the one that beat me. The horse was like 0 for 24 at Gulfstream or something on the Gulfstream turf. And Roddy's the one that beat me. So I did hit it on Sunday. A very modest, I think it was like 278 or something like that. But I did. Ron had hit it 2 days in a row before I filled in. So I was like, please, Ron,
Got to set the bar for the new guy. Very good. Yeah, but it was fun. We were kind of it was a busy weekend last weekend, but whenever the guys in the control room had a chance, we were plugging in your paddock commentary and whatnot. It was fun to see the familiar face down there. So again, nice job. You're going to take a look at Belmont today. They have a nice card. I'm going to take a look at Pimlico a little bit later on. Normally I'd look at Churchill, but Churchill has an evening card today, so I focused a little bit on Pimlico for the afternoon card. I will note that at Belmont, in the stake coming up on the card today, Decorated Invader goes out for West Point Thoroughbreds, and I'll just preview a little bit our show coming up, Racing Across America at 10 o'clock. We will be joined by Tom Bellhouse from West Point Thoroughbreds. We'll preview Decorated Invader. We taped a couple interviews yesterday. Preview Decorated Invader in the stake today. And then they had a couple of nice stakes runners last week at Pimlico, Jackson Traveler and Lady Traveler. So we'll get little updates on them. And boy, over the past few weeks, West Point has had 3 or 4 really nice debut winners, including the big figure winner out in Southern California, Flightline. So we catch up on those. We'll also be joined by Jason B., who it was announced this week will be the replacement for the retired Rich Grunder. And so I reached out to Jason and got his feelings on the gig, the new gig, and just his career in general. If you're not familiar with Jason, he'll update you on the various tracks he's worked at over the years and whatnot. I think they made a great call. And I said to Jason, and I will hint here a little bit early, he was clearly very excited, and it times out for him with the other tracks he works at, Grants Pass Downs and Colonial Downs, but I think they made a nice choice down there at Tampa.
He is like a racing phenomenon. I did his show when I was at Fairgrounds. I don't know him well, but he was a great guy, and he just has everybody loves Jason B, and he's very easy to love. He's hilarious on Twitter. I'm sure you've seen like some of those like 90-second little videos he does and stuff. He's hilarious. He seems like one of the good guys, and just the sentiment when he announced that he had gotten that gig was just absolutely over the top, overflowing for him. So you've got a heck of a lineup today. Tommy, one of our good friends, I've known Tommy for, my goodness, 15, 16 years. I was able to catch up to him when I was with him when I was in Louisville. So Tommy is as good a guy as anybody that we'll ever meet, and Terry's right-hand man. So yeah, he's a cool guy. I love Tommy. A long, one of my earliest friends in racing, and a really, really good guy. Hard worker for West Point. So we love Tommy.
Yeah, and as I say, we taped the interviews yesterday, and I can tell you they're both fun interviews and worth taking a listen to at 10 a.m. Before that, we'll get into racing. Before I go to racing today, let's go back to last week. Again, you were down at Gulfstream, but obviously all eyes were at Pimlico for the Preakness, the Black-Eyed Susan the day before. Any thoughts? Rombauer wins the Preakness. Medina Spirit runs third. Given the situation this year, maybe it's just as well we didn't have a shot at the Triple Crown. The disappointment was Concert Tour, who runs 9th in the field of 10 in there. The day before, I thought Army Wife looked pretty good. I had Willful Woman at 13-1. I thought she had a good chance at the top of the stretch. And then, as I say, Lady Traveler ran third in there for West Point. I thought all 3 of those have the chance to be kind of interesting players in the 3-year-old filly division. But your thoughts from last weekend?
I seemed like a lot of people had Rombauer. I thought he was very, very hard to come up with, Seth. I don't think he had ever won a dirt race, right? And boy, he looked good. He ran really fast, too. I think you kind of said it correctly with Medina Spirit. I mean, he just had to regress anyway off such a hard derby. Just take the whole positive test even out of it. Just when you looked at his race on paper, it was just so big, and he just had to regress. And you're right, he's a sham, that Concert Tour, anyway. I've never really believed in him. I mean, everybody got gaga over that Rebel that he ran, and it was a race that you couldn't. It didn't count. I mean, the only other horse in the race, Caddo River, stopped after 4 furlongs, and the Concert Tour was walking on the lead, so of course he's going to run off the screen. But his 2 races since have absolutely been, well, the Preakness especially. But yeah, he's. I don't think he's much. I just think people like to latch on to the next big thing from Bob Baffert, and that he certainly wasn't. But it was a good Preakness, and it should lead to a good Belmont, right, Seth? And I think that's I think that's very, very important. And all the negativity that went into the race, and you see the wagering handle, and you see the TV ratings and all that, they were just out of this world. So hopefully we can put all that behind us. I know Merrow's trying to clean some houses as well with what they did with Baffert, and Linda Rice got nailed pretty good. So hopefully we can put all of this negativity behind us. We can build off of it, and it'll set us up for a good summer.
Yeah, I think the Belmont that weekend is lining up to be very, very nice. I was surprised at the betting. Really, it evened out and became more logical as it got right to post time. But the day before and most of the Saturday, Midnight Bourbon was favored. I thought if folks were going to look for an alternative, I thought they'd go to Concert Tour, but Midnight Bourbon was taking a lot of action. And then as it got right up to post time, it became a little more logical with Medina Spirit going off as the 2-1 favorite.
I agree, Seth. I think I said it. If I didn't, I know I said it to some friends. I really thought Concert Tour would be favored.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that. I think what happens, you know this, Seth, I think when horses have a little bit of trouble in the Derby and still run well, the natural knee-jerk reaction is to come back to them in the Preakness, and that's what happened to Midnight Bourbon. And listen, he ran well. He also hasn't won a race since January, so he's a nice horse, but Seth, it wouldn't shock me in the least if when we're talking about the Travers and we look back at all these horses are going to take turns beating each other. Brombauer runs the Preakness back. I think he ran a 103. This is pretty heady stuff in a year where these horses are pretty slow, but it wouldn't shock me at all if someone else wins the Belmont, if Mandaloun wins the Haskell, and someone else wins the Travers. It has that kind of feel to it, doesn't it, Seth?
Yeah, the Triple Crown is not defining anything on the 3-year-olds. You kind of alluded to it. This division is going to define itself as we get out to Haskell, Travers, or maybe even a little bit later, because it's just had that feel right through the prep season, and now it's continued through the Derby and the Preakness. All right, let's jump in and take a look at some of the action today. Again, I'll look at Pimlico a little bit later on, but you're going to focus on Belmont. You can catch the selections every racing day at CapitalOTV.com via the Handicappers Report. Nice printable sheet with all the selections. Brian will have Belmont on the sheet, and he will do a little Belmont today, and we'll kick things off. The opener, $16,000 claimers, 3/4 of a mile. How did you see race number 1?
3 over to 7-2, and again, like you said, I'll give these one-sheet selections. George Weaver doesn't claim too many horses, but when he does, he's very selective, and he does a good job. It's just a 2-for-4 sample, but Miss Mimi looked really good. Beating Lesser last time. He claims her from Mike Maselli, moves her up a little bit. Irad is here. She draws perfectly, and maybe more importantly, doesn't really meet that much in here. I think she's going to be very, very tough to deal with at a very short price. Movie score is going to be a price underneath, and I like to do this, Seth. If I've got a heavy favorite on shop, look for a little value underneath. That is her. She can stalk and pass some horses late. Barrera's had a good year quietly, so put her in second, and then Lady by Choice underneath. Luis Saez is here. Her best race is in the mud, so I'm not sure if she can get back to it, but she can get a piece of this as well from off the pace. But we go 3 over to 7-2 in this opener at Belmont.
Race number 2 at Belmont. Maiden 40 claimers going 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
I've got it early pick 4 time here as well. 6-8 over the 1. I think the weather's okay, right, Seth? I gave it a look, and it seems like it's going to be good. And Belmont's got a really nice card today. I know a couple of my friends are looking forward to playing that late pick 5, so we'll get into that in a second. But Caribou Gold for Maker, from Ben Perkins to Mike Maker. Benny does a good job at Monmouth in the Mid-Atlantic. But this is a big barn change here. Saez is here. Progression off the layoff. It's an August layoff, but he's 16% off this elongated layoff. Plenty of works at Whisper Ready. So I put Caribbean Gold on top. Number 8, Jaru underneath for Graham. Jose, dropped in class last time and didn't really improve. And that always worries me, Seth, because you think when he takes a big drop in the special weight ranks, you would expect that's going to be the breakthrough. Giroux didn't do it, so I'm a little bit leery of him. And then down inside America's Justice for Clement didn't run an inch on debut, but now drops or maybe speculate at Tampa. The barn is hot. Joel Rosario's hot. Maybe a little bit of value there as well. 6-8 over the 1 for me. Early 6-4 top.
Yeah, you say Joel Rosario's hot. I didn't realize until I looked at these DRF stats. He's 36% at the meet.
Yeah, I mean, that's consistent. I think Joel, over the last maybe 18 months or so, has really asserted himself. I think he was a little, it made people, he's a little untrustworthy, and I feel over the last 18 months or so, he's really elevated his game, and he is as good as anyone, if not better. He's such a good finisher, too.
Yeah, those turf sprints, you have to, he's one of those jockeys, they have to circle a jockey as you're handicapping and make note of that. Third race at Belmont today, starter allowance, 6 furlongs of the distance.
5-8 over the 3 set. She's a little edgy for Rob Atrass off the claim. I said, George Weaver doesn't claim many. Well, Rob does, and 32%. So I guess I'm taking a shot here, 6-1 on the morning line. A sloppy 2L romp at Oakmont last time. There's no world beaters in here. So I think, too, she's going to get a nice trip just on or just off the pace to get first run. I put her on top. Number 8, She Answered, outside for Jorge Duarte. Hasn't been out since September, but the bar is 29%. And they usually get rolling at Belmont this time of year for Richard Santulli's Colts Next Stable. So he's a big threat in here. And then Easy from the West, I was a little surprised to see her favored. Has romped in 4 out of 5, 3 in a row. But now she's got to play for Mike Selling. She's seen a lot of hands. I saw her down at Fairground with Chris Hartman, with Broder, then with Tom Morley. I'm a little leery of her, Seth, and I think regression is coming today, so I tried to beat her. 5-8 over the 3 in race 3 at Belmont.
Race number 4 on Saturday afternoon, an allowance non-winners are one other than. They're racing for $92,000, going a mile on the grass.
8-5 over the 9. It's a good race, as you mentioned, big purses. I went with Windfall Profit. She got the tightener out of the way last time. She ran well, too. I mean, she just tired late, and you look at the running line where she gave up a 2-length late lead, and you kind of just say, well, maybe she was a little bit of a short horse that day. So now she's got it behind her, and moving forward, I think she's going to be a lot better off. So I like her in this spot. Love and Thunder, I put her underneath. She's going to be a big favorite for Chad. I wasn't enamored with her U.S. debut. She only had a 78. She was favored, but 6-5. She was well beaten second. I don't know. I feel like these kind of Chad horses get way over bet, and she didn't run that well, to be honest. So I'm going to put her in second. If she beats me, she beats me. You're probably supposed to use her as an A in this early pick 5, early pick 4, but I'll try to beat her on top. And then Equal Measure is pretty interesting, too, because she goes off the claim for Peter Miller, 27%. She comes out of some Santa Anita races. She fits with these on figures. And if Peter moves her up, she's got a chance that it should be at square price, too. So give her a look, too. But we go 8-5 over the 9.
Race number 5, conditional claimers, non-winners to 2 lifetime. They will travel 6.5 furlongs.
10 over the 5-1, and I'm going to believe in Quixote. You're allowed not to, off that return, but I'm going to come back to her. The return was off almost 15-month layoff. Jonathan Thomas ran her in a sloppy 1X during Derby week, and she was dead last, didn't fire, but she's got to be better here, and now he drops her for 16, somebody please claim me kind of thing. I'm going to believe her. Jonathan is a guy that puts his horses in winning spots. He's a high percentage trainer because of it, and he's a good horseman. So I'm going to put Theotic on top and say, you know what, even if she's got a little bit of a hole in her, she's still going to win this. Charlie 5-0 underneath. Gargan and Carmouche. The stats don't really show it anymore, but boy, remember how potent they used to be together, Seth, 3 or 4 years ago, and Kendrick's riding great form. Charlie 5-0, a big threat here. And then down inside Pino, first time gelding for Carlos Martin, off a little bit of a layoff as well. Going to be closing late. Probably going to have to work out a trip and need some pace help. 10 over the 1-3 to end the early pick 5 and early pick 4.
All right, let's head to a break. When we come back, we'll look at the late pick 5 at Belmont. I will shift attention a little bit later on to Pimlico. Please stay tuned.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Want to take advantage of everything Capital OTB has to offer? Become a Capital Bets account holder today. It's quick and easy, and now for the month of April, it's our new member sign-up bonus. Simply make a minimum deposit of $200, bet $400, and receive a $200 cash bonus deposited directly into your new account. That's $200 free money from Capital OTB, so sign up today and win more with Capital OTB.
Birdstone is an upside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes Handicappers. Handicappers, the defending champ, to take it to Belmont. These two arch rivals have the win with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth, Merrow, and Brian Nadeau. We will continue our look at Belmont for Saturday afternoon with race number 6 kicking off late pick 5 action. Stakebred maiden claimers going 7 on the grass.
Yeah, and I alluded to it. A couple of my friends back home we're looking forward to the sequence. It's a good late pick 5 today, Seth. It's deep and competitive races, big fields. Has the look of a sequence that could pay some big balloons, and they'll send it in. So, especially with Churchill at night, you would think the pool size gets that much bigger. 7-6 over the 8 for me. Rogue leader, second time off a little bit of a layoff for Jorge Abreu. Blinkers off, first time gelding, lightly raced, got to the turf last time, ran well for a good barn, second time turf. Manny's 26% riding for Abreu. There's a lot of reasons to think. Third place finisher came back to win last time. I think this horse is going to move forward in a big way here. Put that one on top. I mean, Vodka Lemonade, 8-5. I mean, you know, just like I mentioned earlier, Seth, he took the big class drop last time and didn't really wake up. He was a distant third at 3-2. The buyer of 62 is kind of ho-hum right where he's been doing. Can he win? Absolutely. Do you want him at a short price? Absolutely not. So I put him underneath. And then number 8, Bourbon Brown. 2 solid races, open company at Tampa, in for the tag at Statebreds last time. Wasn't that far behind Vodka Lemonade. It's a huge, monumental jock switch from Gutierrez to Jose Ortiz. Should be a fair price too. 7-6 over the 8 to kick off that, as I mentioned, a very, very strong late pick 5 today at Belmont.
Race number 7 at Belmont this afternoon, plain vanilla $20,000 claimer, 8.5 furlongs.
Up one here, too. 3 over the 1 entry, over the 6-9. And I know Malibu Pro is 8-5, and Roddy Falcone is 26% off the claim, and he's 4 for 9 at the meet, and he's calling all the right shots, and there's Rosario as well. So I did put Malibu Pro on top. But I don't think he has to win. He disappointed at odds on last time for now Fruity, and now he's off the claim and he drops. I mean, that's not a great sign. I know they're running for $48K, so he can still get out if he wins this and gets claimed. But I don't know, a little tough to trust for me. I did put him on top, but I'm not advocating singling him. I'm going to use others, and some of the others are the entry. I mentioned Barrera earlier. The barn's having a very good year in both of these horses. Runabout and Hammer and Hammer have form that can win this. Runabout, third against Better for a quarter last time, off the claim. And now Hammer and Hammer goes off the claim. And the barn's 12% off the claim, very solid. This horse ran well, went second for 12.5 last time, so he gives an aggressive ride. I think both of these horses are players at prices. Eagle Pass for Wayne Potts, who's 26% off the claim. This one romped last time for Ray Handel. Rises in class. I think he's a player as well. And then number 9, Here Comes Doc on. It's inferior class size, Seth, but I don't know. You know that Oaklawn circuit very well. I don't think 17.5s at Oaklawn are looking up at 20s at Belmont. So I think Here Comes Doc, second off the Miller claim, is a player as well.
You know, and you make a great point about Malibu Pro. I obviously handicapped the card for OTB Live later today, and I use Malibu Pro on top too. But they're such a puzzle, such a handicapping puzzle, because the talent is there to have the edge on the group. But you just have to scratch your chin, as you did verbally a minute ago, that they claimed on April 16th for $32,000. They come back 5 weeks later for $20,000. I'm sure that wasn't the plan. But you look at the PPs, and the horse does have the edge. These types are really day in and day out. These are kind of on the PPs, and they always present a real puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the only thing is when you factor that person, and you mentioned them, 48,000. So that alleviates a little of the concern, but still, like you said perfectly, you can't imagine that was a plan.
Yeah, exactly. 8th race at Belmont this afternoon. State bred, 9 winners to 1, 6.5 furlongs.
6-7 over the 1. Now, Trini Luck is the wild card here. Private purchase off a sloppy maiden claiming win at Gulfstream, July of 2020. So talk about not the plan, Seth. That was not the plan. The privately purchases one, come back and wait till May of the next year. But here she is, not in a third tag. That's a positive. She looked really, really good, winning her debut. Rudy reaches for Manny Franco. That's one of his main guys. Rudy is 27% off this long layoff. And you look at those works, they're building, and then bang, on May 19th, there's your bullet. So Trini Luck looks ready to roll. Seth, I don't want to see 8-1, as silly as that sounds, because to me, she should be 7-2. And if she is 8-1, I'd be very concerned, because that would be dead on the board to me. So I want to see her live and taking money, and if that's the case, I like her even more. Obviously, Breakfast at Bonnie's is the horse to beat, Gargan and Carmouche. But don't forget now, the romp was in January in the mud at Aqueduct, and that's not the who's who of the racing circuit in January at Aqueduct. So I respect her, and then look at this now, 1-5, she's third in a 6-horse field last time. So now it's back to the drawing board off a little bit of a layoff, sprinting instead of routing now. Yeah, she can win, no doubt about it. I wouldn't want to take another short price though. I'm a little tread lightly with her. And then down in touch, Pleasure Luck for Mark Panig, our friend Mark. Good race, bad race, good race, bad race. Maybe she cycles back off to a good figure today. From the rail with Jose, it won't be easy. 6-7 over the 1.
Feature race today, the 9th race, talked about this a little bit earlier, the Seek again for turfers, $100,000, a mile the distance, Decorated Invader from West Point, and again, top of the hour racing across America. We'll be joined by Tom Bellhouse from West Point, talking a little bit about Decorated Invader and more, but I think this is a salty version of the Seek again.
Well, Seth, this is my play of the day, and when I do the play of the day for the 1 sheet, we give it its own separate little page, and I write up a little summary. And as you alluded to, is what I said, this could easily be a graded stakes race. It's that good. Decorated Invasion is a multiple graded stakes winner. Fabius is a really sharp horse. Delaware, Get Smoking, a lot of them in here are really, really good horses. My play of the day is Get Smoking. Just draw a line through the Maker's Mark. He had no chance. I liked him that day. I didn't think there was going to be a lot of speed in there, and you see they just absolutely went a hellacious clip up front. Raging Bull sits back, Ride a Comet sits back, Sacred Light sits back, 45-3. Well, today, in the Seek again, there's no speed whatsoever. And Get Smoking is either going to be loose or he's going to be pressing some cheap speed to his inside. And I love him in here. 5-1 would be an absolute gift. He was really good winning at Tampa in his seasonal debut. Tom Bush took a shot, rightfully so, in the Makers at a big prize. Didn't get it done. Comes back with friends here. And I think he's in a great spot from on or just off what looks like a very, very slow pace. And Get Smoking, we saw him a lot in New York last year. He can get brave and he can fire a big shot. I think he does it here. I love him in this spot. Flavius underneath. He's tactical, so he won't be that far out of it, but he's got a wide draw in here. He cuts back to kind of its one turn, basically. I guess it's a turn and a quarter here. He's been going 2 turns in California and at Keeneland as well. He's solid, but he'll be over bet for Chad and Judmont, so I put him underneath. And speaking of Chad, he's got Delaware as well. He won last time at Aqueduct, but doesn't he look like he's got bouncer written all over him? He tops at 99 last time. You're like, where did that come from? So I'm going to play him for regression too. And he's at the mercy of the pace, and he's not going to get it today. Get Smoking, play the day, Seth. 5 over to 10-6.
Very good. And the finale scheduled to go off at about 5:45 this evening. The 10th race at Belmont, State-bred maiden claimers, mile and 16th on the turf.
Yikes. 3-1 over 7-8-9. Good luck ending this late 6-5 here. I went with Lemon Taffy, going to get to the turf for the first time for Maker. They wanted to get to the turf on debut. Saez is here, a top turf barn. Emma and I in the mix off that second last time. Where does she go? She moved forward or regress? It was such a huge effort. And then 7-8-9 in a row. Cosmic Kitten, Quiet Horizon, Dancing Firefly. 2 of them are firsters. Tab the toad if you're betting individually, but if you're playing this late 6-5, sure looks like a spread to me, Seth. We'll call it 3-1 over to 7-8-9 to wrap up a really, really good card at Belmont.
Yeah, and I'll also toss in there, just because it's the first horse on the AE list, you'd only need 1 scratch, but I think Bella Principessa is playable in the race as well. Again, if the horse gets in off the AE list.
Absolutely. It would throw that much more to my direction.
All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll shift our attention down to Maryland and take a look at Pimlico for Saturday afternoon. Stay tuned.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at capitalotb.com.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the Capital Region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Seth with you on a nice looking Saturday at Belmont, hopefully the same at Pimlico and down at Belmont. Seth's going to get into a 9-race card at Pimlico. And before we do, and he'll hit on it in a little bit, but just big Rainbow 6 carryover at Pimlico. Not a mandatory day, but they're up to about 600,000 for kitties. So 20 cent minimum if that's your jam. Check that out a little bit later. It's a 12:40 post, so Seth's got you covered here. The opener, kicking off the early pick 5 for 3-year-olds, 10-day Claimer at 6 centimeter drop.
I have it 4, 6, 2, and 3. The number 4 is Sam and Cy. Moves out of the Brad Cox barn, moves into the Brittany Russell barn. High percentage trainer down in Maryland. Certainly not as high as she was last fall, where she was about a coin flip for a few months, but still doing very well. First time gelding in the new barn. I think class-wise is going to fit nicely with this group. So I'll put Sam and Cy on top. Second slot, Swing Your Sword. Comes out of a nice win against fairly similar. It was a conditional at this price last time over at Charlestown, but it was a buyer figure. I'm just looking at it. It was a lifetime best buyer figure, which may indicate, well, one of two things. Maybe the horse likes Charlestown, and if you look down the PPs, you see a couple other nice races at Charlestown. But it also just may signal some kind of lifetime good form right now. I mean, fairly lightly raced, only 9 starts, so that may have been a signal last time. Swing Your Sword in the second spot, and Get Lit in the third spot. Half a step of class relief. Back down to the level, the price level of the Claim 3 back, where the horse broke the maiden for 10. Gets back down to 10 today, and probably moving back to more of a comfort zone class-wise. So in the opener at Pimlico, I have it 4, 6, 2, and 3.
He picked 4 time in the second. We'll get to the turf for the first time on the card. Fillies and Mares pulling up. It's a 3L condition, 16. They go 5, a snappy 5 on the turf.
Yeah, and I think the weather's supposed to be fine. So if I have dirt picks over on the website if you need those. But on turf, I'm out on the AE list and a little bit deep, so I have 6 horses listed here because I have at least, I have 3 that are on the AE list, but I have a 13, 14, 1, 11, 7, and 8. I just couldn't ignore, normally I don't much look behind 1 or 2 on the AE list, but if 13 Lady Jean or 14 Crafty Lass get in, they're the ones to beat. And so I just couldn't ignore that. I didn't want to leave it out in case that works out and leave people not looking out there, because they're the 2 to beat. But again, it'll be work as far as scratches to get that deep on the list. Otherwise, Jen's the boss. I think on the class drop, this one seems kind of a logical player for Kathleen Lynch. Seasonal debut, it wasn't much, but it was against significantly better. Fitness builder, some class relief in the second start of the season. Jen's the boss in the mix. Then I go back out to the first horse on the AE list. Honorable Lily, needing only 1 scratch, is a little more playable, and this one comes in off a couple of starts so far this season at Charlestown, and that one may make sense in the third start back. And then Aprilness in the what is the 5th spot potential, or the 5th spot potentially, but, with the horses not making the AE list, might get up to my second selection, actually. But this one comes in off a nice try at Pimlico last time, and 2 wins just before that, signaling some good form. So again, a little bit crazy here as far as how deep I am, but 3 of them on the AE list. 13, 14, 1, 11, 7, 8 in the second.
It's like a derby trifecta there. You don't hear that too often on random race days. On the third here, back to the main track, 3-year-olds and up. The tag's 5, sprinting 6.
6, 2, 3, and 7, extra medium on top. Has had a couple of races at this Pimlico meet so far. and a couple of wins. 2 for 2 on the track, so has clearly shown an affinity. They are right at this class level. This is one of those I like to say, why not right back? It just sets up nicely for this one. Potent trainer, potent jockey, horse in good form at the level. I'll put extra medium on top. Americano in the second spot. They have a little 8-1 shot here on a horse that also a couple of starts at the meet so far. The first one was the seasonal debut. It was okay. Second one was a nice win, though. Again, at this price level, so should be a player also. And Federale in the third spot. Gets a little class relief. Claimed at this level 3 starts back, and then bumped up, step up the claiming ladder. And the last couple were 4th place finishes. They weren't anything to write home about, but I thought this horse, getting that step back down to 5 today, could be a little bit of a player given the numbers this horse typically throws as compared to the rest of this bunch in here. So third at Pimlico this afternoon, 6-2, 3 and 7.
And race 4 kicks off that Rainbow 6 that I alluded to, and almost 600,000 in material. It's that Rainbow 6, much like what Gulfstream does. Let me get that number exactly. 626,000 in that. So take a look at that if that's just in 20-cent ticket. It's a 5K 2L for Boys and Mares 3 and up, a mile and a 16th on the main track.
2, 3, 8, and 4 for me up a Glory March on top. Just kind of master of the obvious for a horse that dropped to this level last time and showed a little bit of life. And a little bit of life compared to this bunch, certainly. That last number, and really all 3 numbers, are very good comparatively speaking to most in this crew. So lightly raced. The last showed a little bit of punch. Maybe there's still some upside potential. Glory March makes sense. Walk It Out Nanny. Walk It Out Nanny is actually the morning line favorite at 7-5 versus 9-5 for Glory March. To me, Glory March, with being lightly raced and with more upside potential, is the better play, and I'm going to be interested to see where the betting public goes. I think they'll tilt in that direction also. Not that on a best effort, Walk It Out Nanny might not have the edge, but it's hard to get super excited about a horse with 13 starts and only 1 win so far, and coming out of a turf try that was a little bit of a dud. Now I think this horse will rebound to a better effort with the move to turf, or with the move back to dirt, but like I say, between the two, I'll tilt towards the 2 over the 5, and then Why Not You, a little bit of a price here, 15-1, also making a turf to dirt move, but doing it with a drop back down the claiming ladder to what is probably more where this horse wants to be. The last race, which was off a little bit of a layoff, not only on the turf, but against, more than double the price claiming-wise. So I'll expect for a little bit of improvement from Why Not You at potentially a price in the 4th at Pimlico, 2, 3, 8, and 4.
All right, let's sneak one more in here. We'll pick up this late pick side of Pimlico back on the turf in a good one here. Can we open up? It's a 16-2L, a mile on the turf in a very, very deep field here.
4, 7, 10, and 3. Mikado on top. Hasn't been seen since Tampa in January. But it just looks like this horse may be a decent little fit with this bunch. On numbers, this horse has an edge on most of them in here. This whole group is a little bit inconsistent. Good races will make this very competitive, but they don't always throw their good races. I'll hope that this one off a little bit of a layoff. And I kind of like the May 15th mile workout. Whenever trainers do something a little out of the norm, it seems to pique my interest and maybe signal some intent. So that attracted my attention a little bit as well. Mikado on top. Second slot, we'll look for Savile Row. Hasn't been seen since last November at Laurel, and the last 2 races of last season were not good. But there are some races just prior to that are clearly good enough to mix it up with this bunch, including the race just about this time last year that was also off a little bit of a layoff. Not quite as long a layoff, but it was a pretty good effort off a layoff with signals. This one may be playable here today off the November layoff. And then Mint Game in the 3rd spot. Was on the dirt last time. That was a complete dud. I think the return to turf puts this horse right in the mix, and I think class-wise is going to stack up very nicely with this group this afternoon. So in the 5th at Pimlico, 4, 7, 10, and 3, and we will head to a break right now, our last break of the hour. When we come back, I'll complete probably look at Pimlico. So stay tuned for that. Be back in a couple. I'm Seth Merrow, and as serious horse players, we know that information is critical when placing a bet. With live streaming of more than 30 tracks, race replays, free past performances, and daily picks from professional handicappers, no one gives you more up-to-the-minute information than Capital OTB. Combine that with the best player awards in New York State, and you have everything a serious horse player needs to be successful.
Win more with Capital OTB.
Winning starts here.
The Capital Region has some of the most sophisticated horse racing fans in the country. That's why Capital OTB built the Clubhouse Racebook. Here you can wager year-round on the best horse racing from around the world. The Clubhouse also has monthly promotions including live bankrolls, handicapping contests, and so much more. Like sports? Watch your favorite teams on more than 30 screens in Legends Field Sports Grill. Food, sports, and the excitement of championship horse racing. Only at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Come on!
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Brian and Seth with you. We've got through 5 at Pimlico, 4 left to do. Late pick 4 time here. It's on the main track. It's one of these starter optional claimers. Fillies and mares 3 and up. We go 6 on the main track.
I have a 2-1, 5-3. Lady Clow, I'm guessing that's the pronunciation. Claudio Gonzalez trainee, moves into his barn. High percentage guy down in Maryland. This one had been racing at Laurel, again, in another barn, and hasn't been seen since February. But moving into the Gonzalez barn, I think class-wise going to fit nicely here. The last start was a stakes start, so obviously there were some ambitions for this horse. I think this horse will be a player off the layoff at this level and with this group. Hufflepuff in the second spot, a couple of good second-place finishes when last seen. That was January and March over at Laurel. But again, really more Monday, you go down the last 4 starts, were all pretty good, and really the whole career, 7 in the money finishes in 9 starts. So this horse is a player also, but like the top pick, there's maybe a little bit of a concern about layoffs and fitness, but I think they'll be okay. The workouts underneath certainly indicate that these horses are probably coming back ready to roll, and the layoffs aren't super long to begin with. Guns blazing in the 3rd spot. It's the other Claudio Gonzalez runner. This one off the claim. He's very good off the claim. He's very good in all kinds of categories, but off the claim is a potent angle, so I'll put that one in the mix as well. At Pimlico in the 6th, 2-1, 5-3.
Last time for pick 3 at Pimlico in the 7th, and it's on the turf as well. $25,000 maiden claimer. Boy, this is a weird one. Maiden's 3, 4, and 5 years old, Seth. 5 furlongs on the main track. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before.
That is kind of interesting. I guess that excludes the long-time maidens. You get a 6 or 7. You become a little bit skeptical. But I have it 1, 4, 10, and 8. I put Chauffeur on top, claimed out of the last. That was back in February, so it's another one of those that you have to concern yourself a little bit with the layoff. But again, it's a horse that has some workouts underneath that seem to signal the fitness will be okay. I think class-wise is going to stack up nicely. The last couple of races weren't necessarily what I'm going to hang my hat on, but there's races a little further down the page that I'm hoping with the layoff we can rebound to, but that is going to be a question mark. 2nd slot, we will take a look at number 4, Baltimore Bud. Nice little second when last seen, but again, this one's been off since January. That seems to be the theme over the last couple of races. But again, there's some workouts underneath that seem to indicate the horse will probably come back. It's a halfway decent form anyway. Here are the dog in the 3rd spot. This one has a little more recency, laid off from November until beginning of May, and got a race in here at Pimlico. It was an off-the-turfer. I think with that one under the belt and returning to the grass, here are the dog becomes a player as well. In the 7th at Pimlico, 1, 4, 10, and 8.
Race 8 is a state-bred fillies and mares, 3 and up, 6 furlongs on the main track.
7, 6, 1, and 2, Whispering Pines on top. Good second place finish at Belmont last time for Horatio DePaz. Moved into his barn and again had that nice race up at Belmont. Just found it also interesting that they said, let's pop back down to Pimlico. The horse had been working at Pimlico, had a race at Laurel a couple of starts back that was pretty good. So I think this is one where trust the trainer to be reading the condition book and finding a clever spot off a pretty good effort, again, up in New York. So Whispering Pines on top. Sick Pack Sarah in the second spot. 3 nice wins coming into this one. So we're looking at really good form for Sick Pack Sarah, and the question mark there is the class move into this restricted C condition allowance company off of some open claimers. But boy, I think off the last few starts has to be certainly tossed in. And Malibu Beauty, nice win last time over at Laurel and an optional claimer. Another one I think is going to fit nicely with this particular bunch. So in the 8th at Pimlico, I have it 7, 6, 1, and 2.
And we'll wrap it up in the 9th. Back on the turf, it's $25,000 maiden claimer fillies and mares at 3, 4, and 5 again, sprinting a snappy 5.
4, 8, 3, and 7, Mosler's Touch on top. If you don't watch Maryland racing often, you look at this one and you see 3 straight waiver claimers. Well, the deal is with these open claimers in Maryland, if you're a Maryland bred, you get to drop in for the waiver. And so, it makes it kind of a clever move to do that. And the horse 2-back in a maiden 40 claimer dropped in for the waiver and had a good second. That race is bookended by a couple that aren't quite as good. But I thought with the drop down the claiming ladder today, this one becomes a little bit more interesting, and they are actually in for the tag today. But I thought this horse, again, with the early speed and that race 2-back, could be a player in with this lesser class bunch. Likely choice in the second spot. Also getting some class relief for Kelly Rubley that I think will be beneficial. And Tap Dancing Girl. This one moves up on the other hand. Half a step up the claiming ladder, but comes in off a couple of decent and improving starts so far this year. So 3rd start back, improvement start 1 to start 2. Logical progression says maybe this one a player as well. In the 9th at Pimlico, 4, 8, 3, and 7. So that takes you through Pimlico. Brian looked at Belmont. You can find, again, both of those selections and thoughts over on the one sheet, capitalotb.com. Click on the Handicappers Report link. And Brian, before I let you go, I mentioned it yesterday on OTB Live, but for folks who maybe just tune in on the weekends, I will reiterate, and I know you probably picked up on this news as well, and like me, we're smiling because of our trips over the past few years up at Woodbine. We've gotten to know a lot of the folks up there, and it's just been a tough situation with the pandemic and not having racing up there. I've been scratching my head right along why they haven't in Canada watched the United States and seen racing and how it worked during the pandemic. They weren't willing to go that direction though, but good news came out back on Thursday. Canadian racing set to come back. Mohawk on the sulky side kicks off June 14th. Woodbine on the thoroughbred side June 18th. Fort Erie will be back in action about that time as well, and some of the other Canadian tracks. So about 3 weeks down the road, Canadian racing comes back, and that's good news for, as I say, all of our friends north of the border.
Well, you said a mouthful, Seth. That is 100% correct. It's a shame that they were kind of held hostage there at Woodbine and that they couldn't get going. And as you said, we've done it successfully here in the States, but that's all behind us now. They can get back to battle up there, and that's awesome because we love those guys, Klaus and our friends up at Woodbine, and they have a great product as well, and it'll be really great to see them finally get their meet going. I think they have something like 800 or 900 people living on the backstretch at Woodbine, and basically they were, they just couldn't get going, and so that was a great thing to hear yesterday, or whatever, when it did come down, that finally, Woodbine, the light is at the end of the tunnel. Can't wait to see them back.
Yeah, I agree. As you say, a nice product, and at that 20-cent increment, their pick plays can be kind of fun. Even at 20 cents, if you can get a clever horse in the mix, you can get paid off. So looking forward to them coming back. And again, it's going to be about 3 weeks or so for Canadian racing. Brian, as always, appreciate the visit, the thoughts, and we'll talk again next week.
Thanks, Seth. We'll catch up with you guys next week. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll wrap things up for this edition of the Handicappers Report. Stay tuned, however, a couple of minutes down the road, racing across America.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.